Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the 8-Bit Adventures podcast. This is episode 233. Unfortunately, Courtney was supposed to be back for this episode. She is not feeling well, so it is another solo cast. But hopefully everyone out there is doing okay. You'll note this is not being live streamed at our usual time, and I will get into that in a bit during our deep dive segment as to why that is not the case. But yeah, hopefully everyone's out there doing okay. Hopefully if you are in an area where it's been hit by the hurricane, that you are okay. Otherwise, hopefully everything else is going all right. We have a lot of stuff to cover, a lot of big stuff to cover this week. So why don't we get right into that? Okay, so first up, we've possibly the most bizarre news we have this week. So Epic teamed up with Time, as in like Time Magazine, Time Life, all that stuff, and the Martin Luther King Jr. estate to create a virtual Martin Luther King Jr. exhibit in Fortnite featuring his famous I Have a Dream speech. It's billed as like an in-game sort of museum exhibit that your characters walk around and everything. It's very surreal. Yeah, I am not even sure what to do. They're trying to do this as like an outreach program, as a way to find different methods to interact with people. And I mean, I applaud them for trying to think outside the box. I don't know if Fortnite really is. It just seems so offbeat, a little too offbeat. So yeah, it's very weird and very a little off-putting. Next up, we have Elden Ring, the upcoming Dark Souls-esque MMO. I think it's an MMO. It's definitely an RPG, but was showcased at Gamescom and won Game of the Year despite not having been released yet. So not sure what's happening over at Gamescom. Apparently this is like a common thing, is like games get nominated before they're released and then they pick one. So yeah. So I mean, it might be better to say like a most highly anticipated game, but because this goes like through 2022, so until next Gamescom. But it was like based on footage that they saw. Unclear if anybody actually got to play like a demo or something. But even then, it's based on a demo, right? We've seen so many examples of games that had really good demos that ended up flopping horribly. Next up on the list, Overwatch. McRee is to be renamed, as he was named after Jesse McRee, who is one of the folks who was sort of not explicitly named in the Activision Blizzard lawsuit, but was heavily showcased in like photos and evidence that was circulating around as being very involved in this toxic work culture there. So I mean, it's a token effort. It does not really change anything or do anything toward making that place a safer and better place to work at. But it is doing some sort of harm minimization, for people that may have some sort of triggering effect from just being reminded of who that person is. I mean, it's still going to be there. Like, knowing that reference is still going to be there. But, at least maybe naming the character after something else. Or just, here's a thought. Not naming them after real people might, be a better avenue there. So yeah. So that is happening at some point. But again, no word as to, what other, like, there's been a lot of talk, like, from the Warcraft team on, like, what they're going to do in game and stuff like that. But, like, from corporate, like, there hasn't really been a whole lot of talk about what steps are being taken to change this culture. And we're going to get into that with this bit of news. Blizzard's HR department was caught destroying evidence related to the state of California's lawsuit against the company. So it was deemed that it was more worthwhile to pay the fine for destroying the evidence than it is for what was in that evidence to be brought out. This is a big deal. Because from my understanding as a layperson, it means that in a civil suit, it's either the judge or the jurors, because we don't know how this trial is going to be structured, or the suit's going to be structured. Basically, can then take it as assuming the worst is what that means. So when determining like damages and things like that, it's like assume the worst for penalties. So my hope is it remains to be seen as to if it's actually going to amount to anything. But my hope is that, like, if Activision Blizzard has decided to double down on this kind of behavior, that California really nails them to the wall, because that's going to be the only way. That and taking a huge hit economically, which has the unfortunate effect of putting the company as a whole in the position where it could harm the people still working there that weren't part of this culture or were victims of this culture. So I don't know. But it's bad. I mean, this is bad. Let's not let's not play that down any. So it remains to be seen as to, geez, all these emails coming in. How this trial is going to play out. Up next, in some lighter news, Horizon Forbidden West has unfortunately been delayed to February 18th, 2022. However, in this day and age, maybe a game getting delayed, not necessarily a bad thing. And, we see in the artwork here, for the audio listeners, it's a picture of Aloy, and it's got sort of more robot monsters, more robots, basically, machines, because they don't actually use the term robots in the game. But it looks like focusing on the dinosaur bent as opposed to like real world animal bent. So it's got things that look very much like if not Deinonychus, then sort of Velociraptor, maybe Utah Raptor, and something that looks like maybe a Quetzalcoatlus. So very, very dinosaur type stuff. Very interested. It is coming to PlayStation first, being a PlayStation exclusive. My hope is that eventually they will release it to Steam, like they did with the first game. As I am playing through that on Steam and very much enjoying it. So I'm glad that I got that opportunity. As not having a PlayStation myself. Also set in a very tropical location. So like, I mean, for those of us in the United States, like when we hear the West, you think of either like the Southwest where it's desert, or you think of like prairies and stuff. Not necessarily like tropical beaches. So that, I think, is a nice surprise for me, not having really followed the development of this game too much. So next up, Amazon's MMO New World will have an open beta from September 9th through September 12th. This game has also been delayed to September 28th. Again, seems like they're doing a lot of stuff trying to shore up server stability, to temper it against the very it's been very popular when they've done like closed betas. So people just seem to like they're doing a lot of stress testing on their servers. So um, pushing it back a little bit further can allow them to do a little bit more fine tuning to shore things up. Um, this I'm not necessarily going to be really interested in playing this game. It's just like a lot of the colonial aesthetic I'm not super into. Um, so yeah, but it's been pretty popular with folks. So up next, Phasmophobia got a big update. And actually, technically speaking, it's gotten 2 updates since we last talked about it here on the podcast. So in total, there's been 4 new ghosts added since we last talked about it. There's been a bunch of new tools, uh, a lot of graphical upgrades, a lot of like bug fixes. They've added some new mechanics like sprinting, like actual sprinting, so that base move speed has been increased to like what the old version of sprinting was, and now like you can move even faster. Apparently you need this because the ghosts have had new behaviors too, and they're like a lot more active and aggressive. Um, as well as like having very individualized behaviors and new like custom voices for the spirit box, which are really creepy, let me tell you. Oh boy. So all that stuff has been recently added. It's in the game now. One of the new tools is a dots projector. So like you put it down on the ground and it puts up like this field of um like green light dots. And the idea is that like because it creates a field of like dots, um, that it's supposed to be able to like detect shapes moving through the area that like you otherwise couldn't detect. I don't exactly quite know the logic behind it, but that's in essence what it does. Um, in addition, ghosts can now hear your equipment. So this is a big deal. So this means that if you are being hunted, you have to like start turning off all of your devices so that the ghost can't hear them and track you down. So I'm very much looking forward to watching more streams of this. Uh, it's really sort of added a new like a new layer to the game. In addition, with the new tools, they've also revamped the evidence required to identify all of the ghosts. So like things were getting a little stale. So like and we've seen other games pop up sort of in the same vein as Phasmophobia that do other things. So it's nice for this game to like get a bit of life breathed into it. So yeah, so that update is live now. Coming soon, on September 16th, Valheim's Hearth and Home update is coming. What folks were hoping was for like a big content update. Not so much. Seems to be a little light on the content. They are revamping food as well as some of the combat mechanics. Namely doing things like there'll be 3 different categories of food. So there'll be stamina food, health food, and like balanced food. Um, and in addition, like the modes, quote unquote, styles of combat are blocking and defense is going to be based on your maximum hit points, whereas attacking is still going to be based on stamina. And like blocking and stuff will still require a bit of stamina, but like it seems like it will be more efficient with the more hit points you have. So like the devs used examples of like, oh, if you just want to be like a full out attack person, like you just want all stamina food and just like keep pushing the attack button and everything. Um, and if you want to go defense, like you're going to focus on maximum health food and like not worry about stamina so much. I call me skeptical on this. As well as many folks. This seems to not be very popular. And I have to admit, it kind of seems to be a little introducing complexity where it may not be needed. Like there are other ways that they could have done tweaks to fix things. And this doesn't necessarily seem to be it. Also making cooking just harder. Because now recipes will require like there'll need to be upgrades to the cauldron, so that similar to like the workbench and the forge, the cauldron will now have a whole bunch of upgraded stuff you'll need in order to craft certain food recipes. um, instead of being able to get like just raw meat, quote unquote, from boars, deer, and wolves. Each of those types of animals is going to be producing their own category of meat. So that may now make it more difficult to just get baseline food. Which I found later on in my playthrough that I was just spending all of my time like trying to just collect food. Um, and it was very tedious. Like I was not a fan of it. Uh, like food buffs didn't seem to last long enough. Um, oh, and now like they're taking away like the really cool, pretty like little colored food bar and replacing them with timers. So if you're a former World of Warcraft player like I am, you're gonna just have timers all up on your screen. Um, so yeah, supposedly there's also a couple little tweaks for like construction and building things. But again, like there doesn't seem to be any actual new content per se. It's just like taking all of the existing content and drastically changing how you are going to play it. So we'll see. I mean, maybe I don't know. You know, maybe my skepticism is not valid. And you know, it ends up being pretty good, but there is a concern that this update launches and like that kills interest in the game for a lot of people. So I don't know. I don't know. On the flip side, an update that has significantly renewed my interest in the game is Blastoise is now live for Pokemon Unite. This big chonky boy, who is such a dapper dresser, is now live. He's a ranged defender, which I'm always super intrigued as to how like ranged tanks play. Uh, and I got to play a few games with him today after work. Plays great. Little weird that there's now like 4 Pokemon in the game that all get Surf, and it functions differently depending on every Pokemon. Um, I kind of wish they would like pick other moves. Because you know, like there's plenty of like you could do Aqua Jet. Like if the whole thing is you want to move where it deals water damage and does a dash and does some effect in addition to that, like there's Aqua Jet. Trying to think of what else there is. There's plenty of water. You know what? Let's just look them up right now. So we're gonna go to Bulbapedia. We're gonna go to Aqua Jet, water type move. All right, so let's see here. So stuff that we could do instead of Surf, because it's so unlike in the games where Surf is like you summon just like waves that crash down your opponent. Like it makes you actually surf on the waves, no matter which Pokemon you're using. So like Cramorant, Slowbro, Blastoise, or Greninja. So like you could do Aqua Jet. Aqua Tail. You know, an Aqua Tail is not necessarily. It doesn't have anything like to represent that it's a dash type move. But you know, you could do that. Let's see. Hydro Vortex, Life do Liquidation. You could do Muddy Water. Let's see. Surging Strikes. Which that's a special ability for Urshifu. You could have it be Water Sport, Water Pulse, Water Pledge. I don't know. It feels like they don't necessarily have to pick the same move and just like augment it a bunch of different ways. Like just give them different stuff and call it different things. You know? For Greninja, like have it be Bubble Beam, you know, instead of Surf or something. Uh but his other ones, Rapid Spin, super fun to use, you know, Hydro Pump. I have not used Water Spout yet, but that seems pretty interesting. It's like a channeled AoE type effect. And I mean, I did quick matches with him and I won both of them that I played. So I'm super excited. One of my favorite Pokemon. Super glad that he's in. So yeah. Here's hoping that they add all of the other turtle Pokemon so that you could run an all turtle team. Because don't let your memes be dreams, folks. Don't let your memes be dreams. But yeah, available in the game right now for 8,000 coins. So actually about the same price as Chant or Blissey, I think. So yeah, and there's like more expensive Pokemon out there. I'm really surprised because seems really good. So all right. Now that we've got that, now to move on to our main topic. Okay, so our main topic is the reason why this is not a live episode tonight. So as of the recording today on Wednesday, September 1st, there was a planned sort of Twitch sort of blackout protest to protest Twitch's lack of handling on toxic behavior and harassment toward sort of Black creators, creators in the LGBTQ community, women, and I'm basically everybody that's not a cisgender heterosexual white male, basically, are experiencing things like hate raids. Now, so what this is, for those of you who don't know, is on Twitch you can raid people, which is, on your channel, you take everybody that's watching your channel, and then like you go bring them to another channel, you auto host that channel, and the idea is it's supposed to promote like, when you're done streaming, like you take your viewers, you bring them to somebody else, and that way like you can help audiences grow that way, and like introduce your viewers to somebody like who they might not have been experienced or exposed to before, right? And it's supposed to be a good tool. Like any tool, it can be misused and is being horribly misused in this aspect, where, as well as the tagging system that Twitch implemented for streams. And I mean, this was predicted when they sort of started adding more and more tags. In like a big update they did earlier this year, where a lot of the creators that are being targeted now said, yeah, this is just going to make it easier for people to target our stuff and harass us. And sure enough, so because there are tags like to say that like you're like a Black streamer, or you are a member of the LGBTQIA plus community, or there's tags for pronouns, things like that. And so what these folks will do is they will use those tags to target people. They will, have a channel that's likely a burner account. They will raid. They will use those tags to go raid somebody. And what they'll do is they have some sort of script that generates dozens, if not hundreds of bots, like bot accounts, that are spamming some sort of message that has either racist slurs, homophobic slurs, transphobic slurs, sexist slurs, and it just repeats it ad nauseum. And it just fills up the chat with it so that you get hundreds and hundreds of messages like this. In addition to that, because again, this is likely burner accounts and everything, also including such terms or very thinly veiled uses of such terms in the account names themselves, which if you're running, Streamlab alerts, like basically almost everybody does, now it's also popping up, you know, and likely if you have it pop up on your video feed on stream, that's also popping up so that you're seeing it there. If you have chat that shows up on your stream, like it's showing up there, it's showing up in the chat box itself, and it's getting overwhelming. And it's a big problem. I mean, it's targeted harassment. It is large scale harassment. And it's unacceptable. There is no reason for Twitch to not be able to handle this. And it's once again, just we're in this place where there's targeted harassment happening to people, and a big company that has the resources to handle it isn't handling it. And they've made a big to do about like all these protections that they put in place, and like all of those protections are falling through because like all it takes is for somebody to just like use one of the existing tools that are part of the process. In addition, there's now a new tactic that's been started of basically just showing up into somebody's stream while they're offline and doing this. And then screen capping it and then reporting it to Twitch as like an innocent bystander, quote unquote, showing that this person's chat isn't being moderated while they're offline, which apparently is part of the terms of service. Like, if stuff shows up in your chat and you're not moderating it, regardless of whether you're online or not, like you're liable. And trying to get these people banned, like when they're actually a victim, like trying to get victims banned from Twitch. So yeah, it's very frustrating. So, I don't know how much of a big gesture it is for me to not stream, for not to have streamed this podcast live. Realistically speaking, we don't get very many viewers on the live show. So it's not like I'm losing a whole lot. Like I'm not really sacrificing a lot by not doing it. But if that's the case, then I don't know. It felt right. So, and I mean, this is eventually going to be uploaded to Twitch after. So like it'll go up there. And I have no problem using whatever resources I have available to me to call them out on this. It's one of the it's tough, when you have it's admittedly a smaller community. Your voice kind of gets lost among the like Ninja and I don't know, whoever else is sort of that big these days. I don't know. But it's frustrating. There's a lot of creators that I follow that are being targeted like this. And they're great. And they don't deserve it. Nobody deserves it. And it's very frustrating. So, and it's frustrating, for me so it's even a case where I've been finding, accounts here and there that are bot accounts that are apparently modifications of known accounts that practice this, that have started to follow me even, right? So I don't know if it's from like guests that I've had on. I don't know if it's because lately I've been streaming under the family friendly stream, if they're starting to target like family friendly streams, which why would you do that? I don't understand. Um, so to be clear, like I have not been subjected to this. It's just there have been some very suspicious accounts that have started to try and follow me, which is like that's part of the process is that like you get these accounts that will follow you, and unless like you really do some digging into like who that person is, uh it can slip by. And the only reason why I do this is because we have such a a smaller community. I have the time to go in like everybody that follows me or everybody that posts in chat, and I do a little bit of a background check. I do this for every stream where I look in and see if there are any bot viewers, and go in and remove them. So if in the case you have actually been banned from my streams and are not a bot follower and I have banned you, please let me know. I'm sorry. Uh, but it's often hard to tell. They're getting a little more. They're getting more and more sophisticated at generating these accounts. So, but it's a big problem. Um, so ultimately, it's even though I don't expect to ever be targeted by one of these things, I've taken protections myself. Um, just because I'm starting to be a little more outspoken on with my beliefs on stream. Um, because I don't think any of us can afford to not talk about things. Now I understand if people, if certain folks, if talking about that stuff, um, puts them in harm's way, like, you know, that's perfectly understandable. Um, but I think for me, and I've talked about this before, just as a person that fits that demographic of mid 30s cisgender heterosexual white male who grew up middle class in the United States. uh I think it's important to talk about what I can do using that privilege to help other people, and not stay quiet. So that said, I'm still not going on Twitter. I'm not. I my mental health is so much better for not doing that. But ultimately, yeah, taking part in the protest. So the VOD will go. I'll post the VOD later tonight so that it goes up on the website. Goes up on Patreon as usual. The audio version of this podcast, if you're listening to it, it went out on time. And the VOD will be up on YouTube, same time. So, but yeah, so ultimately that's why is part of this blackout protest of just not streaming. Um, so yeah, that's ultimately what's going on there. Um, so yeah, I will say on a positive note, um, that so on a positive note regarding my streaming, um, is I have started doing art streams on Sunday mornings while I do comics. That seems to be very popular with folks. I'm glad to be able to do that. And I'm happy that it's a nice relaxing stream for people to enjoy, and just chill out for a little bit. Uh, and that's certainly where I am very very happy to get into topics a little bit. So yeah, uh, realizing I needed one more image for the slides. So if you'll forgive me, I'm just in the process of downloading that now to add it in. Oh dear, it's gonna get all messed up. Oh, you know what we can do? I mean, it's still gonna get all messed up, but I think that's enough about Twitch and their incompetence about being able to handle harassment on their own platform. So I'm gonna go back to talking about Questlog. We haven't done that in a while, so here we go. All right, so Questlog is normally a segment where it's sort of talking about what sort of geeky tasks are on my to-do list and like what I want to do and what I've accomplished, what I've gotten done. It's mostly just like picking tasks and reporting back if I did them. I'm cutting back on the number of tasks, so it's just picking one thing, instead of like trying to do like a multitude of different things. Just because I have a number of projects and work's been picking back up, and my son is starting to become more and more mobile, and more active, and independent. So that is not leaving a lot of time to do a lot of different things outside of stuff that I already have going on. So it's going to be one thing. And for the folks who are watching this video, is you can see Shang-Chi. The goal for Questlog is to go see it. I really want to go see it. And so the goal is to get, number one is to try and get a sitter so that my wife and I can go see it. And if we can't, then I will certainly try and go do it myself. Is I will go to the movies myself to do it. But I really want to see it. It's not coming to Disney Plus for like that exclusive access thing. Apparently, my guess is Disney's gotten a little shy on that after the whole Scarlett Johansson fiasco. So basically, we have a number of theaters in the area that are open, and I am fully vaccinated. I don't expect it to be very busy, so and if need be, I'll if there are plenty of other people around, I will certainly mask up. But it would be nice to go see it. It will in fact be the first movie I have seen maybe in 2 years. I mean, I can't recall if there were any movies that came out December 2019 that I would have seen, because we didn't go see any in 2020 pre-pandemic, I don't think. So it would have been 2019. And I honestly don't remember what came out. But yeah, so ultimately that is my goal for next week, is to go see Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I'm very excited for it. I love martial arts films. And it'll be really nice to see something that's very different than typical Marvel fare. All right. Well, I think that about wraps up our episode for this week. So thank you all for joining me. If you would like to see more content from 8-Bit Adventures, be sure to check out 8-bitadventures.com. That is my website. Over there you can find the 8-Bit Adventures webcomic, which is what this was all started on. Those are the comics that I do work on during the Sunday morning stream, so you can go see those and the whole back catalog of them. You can also see sort of the other artwork that I work on in my portfolio. So I do some design work, like freelance design work. I do some, just fan art, portraiture, that sort of stuff. All digital arts in my comic book style. if you would like to help support that content, both the streams, the podcasts, the comics, all that stuff, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/8bitadventures. For as little as $1 a month, you can help support that content, and you get early access to comics. You get exclusive access to patron comics. You get a discount on merchandise. And there's a couple little extra goodies in there. There are also specific patron channels on my Discord server. Unfortunately, I don't have a link for that, but I think I could put that in the podcast show notes. Maybe. Normally I'm on stream when I'm doing this, so that's something that I didn't think about. But we do have a Discord server. It's just the 8-Bit Adventures Discord. So we have those as well. Big shout out and thank you to all of our current patrons. Thank you very much. Your support has helped continue to fund this stuff. And it's a big help. Every little bit helps. So finally, our opening theme is One Up by Professor Shy Guy. You can find his work over at professorshyguy.bandcamp.com. And with that, I am signing off. So, as always, have fun, everyone. Happy gaming, and enjoy your pie cake.